We usually do like 7 loads a day, but if there's bedding, then it'll take like 9 loads.
My parents are very strict. No, I'm joking. I think that my parents care about us, and they really want to see the best for our lives, and they let us do things and sometimes find out things on our own, and they let us learn from our own mistakes, but they try to share what they've experienced, and hopefully it'll help us out in our lives.
Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Wednesday, April 27th. I am so happy to have you here today. I have so much to talk about. It's like every day we have so much to say. All right, so this week's been super busy on the channel, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been watching the roll-off video. I'm always like sort of hesitant to bring in content that I rarely talk about back to the channel, but obviously, knowing that there's always something to talk about with the roll-offs, we'll be weaving them in more often. If you don't like the roll-off content, that's fine. You can stick here for the Duggar stuff. There always will be Duggar updates and hopefully some more Sister Wives. And some of you have had some questions about, Katie, are you going to talk about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? And I'm just going to say no. No, I'm really not. So I haven't been paying attention to the situation, and I'm not really like, I don't have an opinion. I don't really like, if I have an opinion, I feel like it changes all the time, and because of like so many other outlets covering it, I just don't think it's relevant for me to say anything, especially coming in now when they've already been in trial for like, I don't even, a week or more. So no, if you want to watch that, I go to CNN, go to New York Times, go to Fox News. I think everyone's covering them. So you can always check them out. And Court TV has like the live streams from the courtroom. So if you want to see what's going on there, I'd say check it out there. I refrain from sharing my opinion because it is such a highly contested and debated topic of what happened, and I just don't like getting into the middle of it. So no, I will not be covering it. But if you are interested, like I said, go check out those other sources. All right, so today we're going to talk about something that happened on Twitter, and then in another video we're going to talk about the roll-offs. And I just want to say before we get into all that, can y'all do me a humongous favor? These videos are always like the reason why I do what I do, and it would help me so much to know that you all are engaged and you're liking this. And so can you do me a favor by helping this video and give it a thumbs up if it's something that you do like? Likes help me understand how many people are actually engaged and if they like the video, and will help me determine on content. So I also like to see the number of likes of people watching to see versus how many people like the video, just to see like, did you like it? Did you have something to say? Did you not have something to say? Always feel free to leave comments. I love to read the comments. All right, so I would love to get like, I don't know, 10,000 likes on this video. It rarely ever happens, but do me a solid, please. And if you haven't yet subscribed, YouTube tells me that there's a lot of you that are watching that haven't subscribed yet. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you want all the updates, and turn your notifications on, okay? So on Twitter, let's go over to the Twitter. There's been a huge thing happening on Twitter, and I am not here to talk about the politics of Elon Musk buying Twitter, okay? So if you are of the opinion that it's a wonderful thing, great. If you're of an opinion that it's not a wonderful thing, great. I don't know how I feel because I don't like Twitter. I hate Twitter. I hate the trolls on Twitter. I hate the fact that you get spammed by these false fake accounts. That you can't control all these fake accounts, and I hate that there's not an edit button. Now I heard that Elon Musk might add an edit button, which might make me want to work on and be on Twitter, but I don't know. I'm not a huge Twitter fan. So this is not a commentary about what's happening on Twitter or the changes that could be made with the purchase. All right, got it? I try to keep things simple here. I don't like fighting about politics, and I feel like the Twitter debate is becoming political. All right. Anna Duggar returned to Twitter. Now, some of you have wondered, does Anna actually control her social media? Well, now that Josh is out of the picture, I would assume so, because Josh can't control social media from jail. In fact, he doesn't even have access to social media. His communication with people would have to be through email or the system through the Washington County Court. He doesn't get to go onto social media and like hang out on social media. That's just not how it works. They have like limited access to the kinds of websites they can use and look at on their little tablets or when they're looking for information to communicate with people. It's not like you could just get to go on your computer and be like, I'm gonna go onto Twitter and tweet from prison. No, it's just not how it works. So Anna Duggar was over on Twitter and she liked a comment by Elon Musk. That's why I made the caveat here. So Anna Duggar's Twitter, it's not even verified. Oh, it's not even verified. Her Twitter, which says, I'm a Christian happily married to Josh Duggar. We have 6 wonderful children. She has not updated her profile. She has 7 kids now, just so you know. But she hasn't had any posts on Twitter in a super, super, super long time at all. And I noticed that she liked this comment. It says, I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter, because that is what free speech means. And that was by Elon Musk. Okay. I hope that my biggest critics remain on Twitter because that's what free speech means. So I don't want to go into the debate about like free speech actually doesn't mean like freedom of speech on a private platform. Freedom of speech has to do with your freedom to speak publicly about the government without fear of retaliation, and just like freedom of speech to express yourself in public, not through social media. Social media has rules and platforms have rules, and there's all kinds of rules. And there's consequences for speech sometimes, you know, it happens. So the reason why I bring this up is because people have some opinions and they think that Anna is being super hypocritical. First of all, Anna has not said anything at all except for there's more to the story since Josh has been arrested. Since Josh has been arrested, since Josh has been put into prison or to jail, since his conviction, the only thing that she's put out is there's more to the story. We've seen photographs of her at weddings. We know that she was having fun at her friend's vow renewal. We know that she's been hanging out with the Duggars and the kids are hanging out with the Duggars. But Anna has not been like posting normally on her Instagram. In court, interestingly though, it was noted that Josh did control their Instagram account, so that could have something to do with it. Or she just might be afraid to post. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of hate. So people thought it was hypocritical for her to say that she valued criticism and freedom of speech when she turns off comments on her own posts, limits them, or deletes negative comments about her husband. Okay, to a point I understand the criticism, right? I understand that people are like, oh, Anna, she's so terrible. She's always turning off comments. She never wants to hear the criticism. Even when I posted this on my Instagram, let me give you a couple examples of what you had to say about Anna and her comments. Someone said this, I find her liking the post as very ironic because she has no freedom of speech or freedom of any kind while she lives by the teachings of the IBLP. Well, that's an interesting take. Anna's speech is limited within the IBLP. Her voice is limited. Her roles are limited. She is in a submissive cult that tells her that she has to refer and defer to her husband. And now that her husband is locked up, she has to defer to her, who? Daddy Duggar, Jim Bob. So Anna does have limited speech in terms of what she can say and what she feels she can say. And then there's all these rules in the IBLP making them feel like if they say something, it could lead them to damnation. So her freedom of speech isn't as free as you would think. So I actually think that's a valid point. So thank you for that comment. Another person said this on the same breath. They said, ironic that she likes a post about freedom of speech while in a religious sect that controls every aspect of your life, including trying to regulate speech, thoughts, and dress. Again, great point. Another person echoed that. She has so little freedom of speech, it's ironic to me. She actively squelches freedom of speech on her platforms. Why? Same reason Twitter has in the past. You can't allow everyone to say anything. Freedom of speech comes with accountability for your words. So a lot of people are saying that it has to do with like the fact that she's in a group that's highly controlled and the IBLP. They think that, you know, they do control their thoughts, their emotions, what they wear. There's rules for everything. We've talked about this extensively. So yes, freedom of speech in that case could be ironic. if you agree with these comments. Now, other people had this to say: completely hypocritical to like a post about freedom of speech, but blocks anyone who says anything bad about her husband. I guess freedom of speech only applies to her. Another person said, get on Twitter then, Anna, and speak. Girl, come on, be brave. Let people see how your Josh was such a good provider and hard worker. Let it fly. So people were saying that like she's blocking people, but then the other thing that seems to come up here a lot is that people are pointing out that people don't really understand what freedom of speech is. So one of my commenters said this: she clearly doesn't understand freedom of speech. Twitter is a private company, not a public place. Someone needs to tell her that only the government can violate your constitutional free speech rights. So with that being said, if she wants to be able to say whatever she wants, or wants people who she agrees with their beliefs and opinions to say whatever they want, then so should everyone else. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So one of the fundamental things that comes up every single time we talk about freedom of speech in anything that I cover is that people sort of misunderstand what freedom of speech is. First of all, Anna has a right to not want to hear anybody on her platform. So if somebody aggravates Anna on her Twitter or on her Instagram or on her Facebook, Anna, like anyone else, can use the block button, and there's a delete button to remove comments that they don't want to read. I am someone that liberally uses the block feature because personally, I don't appreciate being spammed with negative comments that are mean, or if it's a troll. Like, you know, as a creator or as someone in the media that has a public platform, if someone's not a real account. Like, if you click on a comment and it's got 0 followers, it's pretty easy. Even if it's a nice comment, sometimes I delete those and block them because you don't know who those people are. And I'm not interested in having spam bots on my Instagram or Facebook or on YouTube. So Anna deleting comments and blocking people, I don't have a problem with. I do agree with the people that say that she does not have freedom of speech. That is something that I agree with way more than her being hypocritical about blocking comments about her husband. But just to give you sort of an understanding of what freedom of speech is, let me give you something from Cornell Law School that has what the overview of the First Amendment actually is. It says, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution protects the right of freedom of religion and freedom of expression from government interference. It prohibits any laws that establish a national religion, impede the free exercise of religion, abridge the freedom of speech, infringe upon the freedoms of press, interfere with the right to peaceably assemble, or prohibit citizens from petitioning for a government redress of grievances. It was adopted into the Bill of Rights in 1791. And it says the most basic component of freedom of expression is the right to freedom of speech. Freedom of speech may be exercised in direct words or a symbolic action way. Freedom of speech is recognized as a human right under Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The right to freedom of speech allows individuals to express themselves without government interference or regulation. The Supreme Court requires the government to provide substantial justification for the interference with the right of speech, where it attempts to regulate the content of the speech. Generally, a person cannot be held liable either criminally or civilly for anything written or spoken about a person or topic so long as it's truthful or based on an honest opinion and such statements. A less stringent test is applied to content-neutral legislation, which relates to governments may prohibit some speech that may cause a breach of peace. So something that would incite violence, advocacy for illegal actions, fighting words, commercial speech, obscenity. The right of free speech includes other mediums of expressions that communicate a message. The level of protection of speech receives also depends on the forum in which it takes place. Despite the popular misunderstanding that the right of freedom of the press is guaranteed by the First Amendment, it is not very different from the right of the freedom of speech. It allows an individual to express themselves through publication and dissemination. It is part of the constitutional protection of freedom of expression. It does not afford the members of the media any special rights or privileges not afforded by citizens in general. The government allows you to speak without them interfering. That has nothing to do with what Twitter decides, okay? So if Twitter has rules about what they allow on their platform and what they will tolerate and not tolerate, that's up to Twitter. They are not dictated or regulated in terms of like what can be on their platform by the government. I mean, there's obviously like they have to follow like advertising guidelines, and they have to follow different laws around like hate speech and what they tolerate for that. And certainly you don't want to be on a platform that is inciting violence or anything like that, right? But the government is not going to intervene in a public setting of somebody exercising their freedom of speech. Does that make sense? So you speaking doesn't necessarily, you're not prohibited from speaking. You just might not be able to say everything that you want on a private platform. That's not the government. Twitter is not the government. Twitter is owned by Elon Musk now. It's a publicly held company. It's not it's going to be a private company again, but it's not the same. So Anna liking this comment, I actually think it has to do with more political, mostly because a lot of people think that Elon Musk is going to allow some of those conservative voices that were removed from the platform to come back to the platform. I have nothing to say here nor there about like who's been banned off Twitter and why they've been banned off Twitter and what the rules of the bannings are, because I've seen people be banned from these platforms that are both liberal and conservative, and I've seen people that have no political affiliation get banned. So it has to come down, it comes down to a lot of the times with if you're obeying their platform rules, which sometimes are so complicated, it's like hard to know what you can say. Long story short, I'm more concerned by the human rights that Anna lacks because of her connection to this cult, the fact that she is given away and not made to feel that she has rights as a woman, as a human, that she must be controlled by her husband, and basic fundamental rights of speech and controlling what she does and says, what she wears, who she affiliates with, and what she does for work. All of that is not hers. She's controlled by a man. So I would say I feel more for Anna on the freedom of speech when it comes to the IBLP than I am at all concerned about what's happening on her platform. Does that make sense? And if you feel that way, let me know. If you think I'm all wrong, that's fine too. Let's just do me a huge favor and don't make this about politics, please. I just don't want you all fighting in the comments. All right, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.